Hello, lovely people. Welcome back to my channel. This is Hansa, your leadership coach from Handling Solutions. And today we're going to discuss about the top 5 leadership rules followed by Simon Sinek, right? So he's definitely one of the thought leaders that I genuinely follow. I like the way that he thinks and strategizes, the way gets down to an employee issue level. It's not just about general theories or sharing something on a very normal level, but he does get into the nitty gritty of things, which I really like. So today I thought I'll get into a little bit more detail and talk about Simon Sinek, what he is well known for, and what are some of his most talked about topics. And let's get into it right now. So the number one leadership rule I think that he really follows to the T is like based on his bestseller, Start with the Why. And I feel that book is so fantastic because it talks a lot about understanding the purpose behind what we're doing things. It's not just about the paycheck or about providing a product or service to the customer, which of course, end of day that matters. But he talks about the fact that if leaders have true visions, can motivate their people, can push them forward, can make them feel ambitious and want to do well and better, you will end up having a much more motivated team. You'll have people who are pushing themselves every day, feel inspired by you, get motivation from you, and will want to follow anything you say, right? And that's the job of understanding why we do what. And he explains that really well. And also, when a leader has a vision and when they are thought leaders and they push you forward, what starts happening is employees want to be loyal to you, right? They want to invest in you, be with you, and just want to commit 100% to you. And that's how it actually starts. So, similarly, when you look at leadership today, how they are being motivated, how they are being pushed forward, leaders have to be driven by that. Apple is notoriously known not just for just selling a computer or selling some gadgets, right? They revolutionized and created such innovative ways of the iPad, the iPhone, that it changed the way consumers became extremely loyal to Apple, knowing that anything that they have from Apple will be fantastic and just will be a great experience. So these are revolutionary ways of thinking and getting your employees excited about what they're doing. The second quote that he says, or the rule that he follows, which I really like, is a quote I can give you from what he says, is leadership is not being in charge, it's taking care of those in your charge. And that just sums up exactly what he means when he says you need to put people first. You need to put your employees first. And I think that is the root of success for any business, is that when you see them, especially if you're looking at long-term success, companies that understand that if you are respectful to employees and if you're loyal to them and you give them development opportunities and make them feel included and make them feel respected, you will on a long-term basis get that back, right? You will get that commitment, you will get that focus. They will want to invest in you, and that creates high performing teams, which in turn helps improve productivity as well. So it's a question of, do you have the priorities to make sure that employees are given that first and foremost over anything else, right? There are companies that, like, for example, Southwest Airlines, which is known to put the employees first and prioritize their needs as well. And that's why, if you see those companies, they tend to go really high and do very well, and they just grow and grow. So, if you see some of the best companies to work for, and if you hear even from a cultural perspective, there is a lot of creativity, there is a lot of room for employees to actually give their viewpoints. I remember I went for this seminar in Great Place to Work in Chicago, and it was an event where it was visited by leaders from all across. You have HR leaders from all across. It was a great experience. But I remember we had a top executive from IKEA US come down, and I'm sorry, I think from Sweden. Yeah. So she was a top executive. I got to meet her and interact with her. She was a fantastic woman, very amazing. And she was sharing on her about her experience in her presentation. And she was saying that in the company, they don't address each other by their titles. And I was impressed, like, you don't know. You just know the department, and there's no titles that are put on. I mean, yes, you need to know someone's title to understand and speak to them. But in IKEA, they don't encourage titles. They say if you want to contact department, you can. This is the person, so on. I found that so fascinating, isn't it? Just they don't want to put a hierarchy. And then there's a second idea that she talked about, which was they actually, the way they get ideas from employee is they have this huge gigantic board, and every month employees are encouraged to put up like post-its of what they feel, color post-its of what they feel are things that can do be better, can be improved in the organization. And this is a great example that I took back for my own organization after that conference, was what can you use from those and put them up on the board. Every month employees had to go and put up on the board ideas of what they need to do better, or what the company can do better, or how things are going. It was just anonymous, so you couldn't really know who came and put what and so on. I thought that was such a nice idea because, one, people don't like to be called out, people don't want to sit around the table and talk. So it's giving employees a place to vent. So if it's not a board, maybe you can have like a, I don't know what you call that, but maybe a grievance box or feedback box. You can name it whatever. Keep a box in one area and then people can just come and drop notes in it, of feedback of how things are going. That's what we did. We implemented in our organization. So that was a very fun idea I learned. And I remember attending that conference. It's just gave me an opportunity to that all of them, the leaders, were saying one thing: focus on the employees. The third point, and I think takeaway from Simon Sinek, I would say, is a circle of safety he talks about, which means like this example I just quoted about the IKEA, being able to go and put your ideas on a post-it or a feedback box. Just giving another idea that we did in our organization. These are ways where employees should feel that, without being anonymous, if you can sit around in your team and openly discuss what are the issues you're facing or what can be done, right? These are the things that can be listed very clearly. So I think if you have that opportunity and you can go ahead and list it out and express that this is what I think we can do better, or this is the issue right now, without being reprimanded or the fear of any repercussions, that is what is a circle of safety or a very healthy, safe environment. People feel like going. And when you encourage that, what happens? And it doesn't mean that you can just go on venting. Of course, you have to be professional. You need to make sure you're not being rude, you're not offending somebody, you're not insulting somebody, you're following all that. But you're just genuinely wanting to give feedback to help get the job done better, or also try to make yourself, be more effective in the job. And that's all great. But the ability to do that in an effective manner, with the right results, and get people to listen to you, to what you have to say, I think all of these things will help you develop, grow, master anything and everything you think about, right? So then it also creates an environment of safety. People feel relaxed, people feel more like giving 100%. They're more productive, they know that they're not going to be immediate repercussions, they're super happy. So this is the next aspect that I think I really like what he talks about: feeling safe and secure in being able to express yourself without repercussions. The next aspect I think he talks about: a leader is more defined by their behavior, right? Versus the title. So if you are defined and you want to set expectations for your team, how do you have to set the example as a leader? Now, you can't be setting all 100 rules or having all these rules in front of you and then not following them yourself. So, if you as a leader set clear expectations and speak to your team and let them understand that expectation as well, you will start seeing that they will come back and start believing what you're saying and start listening to you more and more. So that's again another job of a very effective leader, should be able to do that. As a leader, if you demonstrate integrity, hard work, and being able to commit to your work and very positive attitude, you will start harboring those behaviors in your team. They will start seeing that these are the behaviors that are happening in the team. This is this is how my boss is behaving. And it's just an influence factor as well that happens. Once you model these kind of values, you build the culture, you build respect for the team, you start being able to actually have a very cohesive team that wants to work with each other and is enjoying what they're doing. But one of my leaders, he was my boss actually. And I remember sometimes we would be under a lot of projects and we're just managing multiple projects at a time. And I just love that. For me, I used to find that very exciting. So I used to enjoy it. And there's sometimes on my own, right, without being told by my boss ever that you need to do this or you need to, like, I was never pushed. I felt on my own, like on a Friday evening or sometimes on the weekend, but not very common. I would want to work. Like I would just work or do something on my own out of interest. And I know it's like wanting to put those extra hours from my own interest because of the fact that I never felt pressured. And that's what a great leader is: ability to make you feel motivated enough, push you hard enough in a right direction, to make you feel like, yes, I feel like doing this. I want to give more. I want to invest more. And that's the feeling that comes when you are genuinely invested, right? When you genuinely want to work in a business, in a sphere where you go and you actually enjoy what you're doing. And finally, the last leadership rule or takeaway I feel from Simon would be the fact that he always believes that you have to see in the long term, right? The true leaders, which is what he calls the infinite game. So the definition of an infinite game is you are not playing to a certain time, right? So, for example, he says, if you feel that there is a result you want to get, right, or you feel that your business is doing great, how long? Right? Maybe this year you're number one, maybe next year you won't be. So if you play for the finite game, which is a particular time, you're putting a time on it, you can never be able to see on the long term basis. But if you play for the infinite game, which means that you're seeing beyond this year, beyond the next 5 years, you're just playing because you enjoy the game, right? You're not worried about numbers, you're not always worried about getting the end goal, which is important. But if you play for the long term, if you focus on the long term, you start focusing on the things that really matter. So profits are important and all that's important. But what he says is that if you just focus on those things, numbers and profits, and you don't focus on what you want to achieve in the long term, which is to have retain the best of your best and make your people the best and make sure that the company is doing amazing, you want it to last for a long time. If you don't focus on any of that and you just focus on the small aspects, I won't say small aspects, but on these aspects only, the infinite game is not in the picture then. You're not an infinite thinker. And for example, if you look at layoffs because you want short term profits, then instead of that, if you can start investing in your people, give them training, improve them, make them more skilled, you'll see that you might start getting those rewards and dividends in the future. So if you play for the long term, those are the organizations that actually become super successful in the future. But if you play the short term game or you're playing a game just for the finite game, you may not see that happen. So these were the top 5 leadership rules from Simon Sinek that I absolutely love. Go check out his books; they're brilliant. He has written "Leaders Eat Last." He's also written "Start with the Why." These are my favorite books. I think we need more thought leaders like Simon who have the ability to help organizations identify what really matters. Okay. So if you like this video, make sure to follow for more and I'll see you soon. Bye.